Go.
Hi, Steve. How are you today? Jeff
Good.
Martini.
Good, Jeff.
How's your day been so far?
Awesome.
There you go. I just want to confirm that you still have the 30 minutes we discussed on the phone.
Probably more like 20.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll be as brief as I possibly can be.
Okay.
So, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, spend the next 10 minutes, because now we're down to 20, asking you a few questions to better understand your organization. Then I could introduce you to our ITS 360 process and how it can help you better your business processes.
Okay.
Briefly, a little bit about us. I know I was quick on the phone because you only had a second. So we are a consulting firm. We're a Xerox company, and we specialize in workflow optimization, true cost breakdown, and asset deployment. A lot of times people hear Xerox, they think strictly copiers. You know, we're in a lease. However, in this meeting, I hope to portray to you how we are much more than that and how we can truly partner to help align your business processes with your existing technology and or new technology.
Okay.
So first, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your organization, and then as mentioned, we'll get into our ITS 360 process. So I went online, I did some research. I see that you at ABC Circuits strictly sells your circuit boards to the federal government. With the economy projected to sustain growth over the next 5 years, do you envision receiving more or less of these government contracts?
We anticipate more.
So I anticipate more. So how do you, to follow up on that, how will this growth impact your business from an operational perspective?
We think we'll be growing year over year by at least 10%.
Year
based
over
on
year.
our projections.
So 35 employees a year for the next 5 years?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, I saw you had 350 employees. So from an operational perspective, I know you have the 3 offices up here, 1 in DC. Do you envision adding almost 40% more than your existing workforce? Do you envision needing new offices? Are you going to build out on your existing infrastructure? Has this been discussed as of yet in your strategic planning?
We will be opening an office in March of next year.
March of next year in the Boston area, or will that be remote as well?
It's local up here.
Local up here? Yeah. Okay, so you're growing year over year. A lot of times with organizations that work with the government, there are strict and stringent audit processes.
For sure.
Okay, so what type of audits are you subjected to? Is it strictly on your contracts? Are you do you have to be part of the Buy American Act, to where any organization that does business strictly with the U.S. government, I'm not sure, has to buy American products? Are these all part of your audit processes to make sure you align with those? As a CIO, I know you're probably not hands-on with those, but
No, we are document intense here. It's a lot of documents to get our process through.
so it's all paper and
A lot of documents.
So it's what? So being, obviously, we just saw the hurricane in the Carolinas. What's your strategy in regards to disaster recovery to ensure that you remain in compliance with these audits?
We have limited resources, but we do have off-site storage of our documents, which is a requirement of the federal government.
So the federal government recently started to accept when they come on site and do these audits. You used to have the physical hard copy of the document.
Yeah.
I know in healthcare, along with, I'm not sure how you're being a privatized government contractor intersects, but the federal government, along with healthcare organizations, for example, are now allowing electronic documents for their audited, and they used to not be approved that way.
Yep.
Has there been any talk in that way to prevent, obviously we don't like to think about disasters, but they do happen. Has that been an initiative to go more cloud-based?
Yeah, we're definitely, the government storage is all in the cloud for ease of access, but it's very highly secured.
Highly secured,
Yeah.
Okay. So, being the CIO, obviously, you know, you and of a 350 employee company, you have a lot of assets out there, you know, whether it's computers, output assets, printers, copiers, your servers. The last time you made a large technology purchase that coincided with a transition of vendors and processes, how did this rollout affect your end user employee productivity, if at all? In a positive and negative way? Was it no different?
I honestly can't say we've ever done this size and scope of a switch that you're talking about. So usually it's as needed. We just get our printers.
So you've always been I see you have a Lenovo laptop there with Lenovo.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I would now make this a hypothetical. What would be your ideal transition, and how would that roll out?
You mean if we switched over all our printers?
Well, I'll get into our process. We can coexist with other vendors. So not necessarily switch your printers, but just change your business processes. So, for example, what we were talking about earlier about your going from a document-based storage for your audits to an electronically managed cloud-based repository, something like along that line. How would you envision that affecting? Would it increase or decrease employee productivity?
Well, I would hope we'd do something that would always be increasing our productivity.
Okay. Just to confirm, just, you know, to kind of rehashing what we said, what we just discussed.
Yep.
So you're projected almost 50% growth over the next 5 years, 10% year over year.
Yeah, I think that's what they say, yeah.
Thinking about expanding, adding offices, more employees.
Yeah, we're growing.
Sure. Okay, so that's good. So we usually like to work with growing companies or shrinking companies because, you know, ideally we like to save you money or optimize your existing workflow.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a real initiative to go to a more cloud-based document repository for audit purposes amongst the ease of use.
Yeah.
And because you haven't made a large transition from a company of this size and scope, as you said, you'd want a laid-out implementation plan and everything to ensure the correct vendor has all their ducks in a row to make this change as painless and as to make it as positive as possible on your end users.
Sure.
So I'll get into my process, our 360 process in a second. But just if I were able to meet all these initiatives, would you feel comfortable? Once you would have to see everything, making this transition. I know now it's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean it's not necessarily something that we are thinking about, but you know, we're always open to options.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, everybody's in a lease, everybody has printers, they have their own way of managing them, but it's really our process that differentiates us. I'd like to get into that right now.
Okay.
So we start, the biggest component of our process is learning about you. So we define your strategic initiatives, obviously, learning about your company, whether you're growing or not, which I believe we just did. And it sounds like there's some real opportunity for growth, which is exciting. But at the same time, you need to be ready for your growth and have the infrastructure. As a CIO, you need to have your network drops, everything ready to go. So then we then, via our assessment process, measure your business processes to make sure they're in line with your objectives. And this is achieved in a multifaceted, we achieve this in a multifaceted approach. And it includes the three main things, which are, number one, it's an integrated reporting tool. It's an app of some sort. Everything is app-based now that delivers empirical data once a day. It's an app that sits on a network PC or on your server, and any output device, it starts to give us aggregate volumes, and we then use that in conjunction with this right here. I'd like to show you. It's our proprietary software called the Xerox workflow mapping app, and it syncs with the app I was just referring to, and we import via CSV file into this, and we do a physical walkthrough of your environment. And as you can see, there's some red pins, some black pins with each number, and each pin 17 for example here, gives us the make, model, serial number, and your average monthly volume, both color and black and white. And the great thing is this can be updated via the app that it's synergetic with, so it's giving us real-time data. Empirical data, which is just numbers on a spreadsheet. However, in conjunction with doing this, it gives us a bird's eye perspective of your usage by department, by users. And during our walkthroughs, we look for inefficiencies, bundles, clusters, that can both be financially, that can both help you financially, but as well from a workflow perspective. Because you think about the office of the 90s, you have a fax machine next to a black and white printer, next to a black and white or next to a color printer, next to a black and white copier, and that's every other vendor's idea of an assessment. Okay, let's just make those all in one. Right. However, we like to do end user interviews during this walkthrough. It kind of helps us in both regards. There is that there may be a business reason why you have all of those. It could be one's a check printer, one's a confidential HR printer that requires a code every time you walk in. So we don't come in and just tell you what you need. Truly, with yourself, we'd like to co-author a solution that's in alignment with your growth projections, not upsetting the norm, and truly making it giving you the most visibility into your current environment, and when we co-author the solution, what it will be. So after we've done that, so we have a process here. And this chart outlines exactly the steps, what we would need. However, a big component to our process is post-sale, is where we truly, this is what I was referring to when we form partnerships rather than vendor-client relationships, is where we control your ongoing changes in your business through quarterly business reviews. And in a business like ABC Circuits, that's projected 10% year-over-year growth, there's a good chance that there's always going to be changes and fluctuations. So, it's optional whether you want to meet on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, semi-annual basis, just to sit down and review any changes or fluctuations within your business, the areas you'd like us to improve. So we truly are your partner in your growth while you grow, because we will grow alongside with you. And the way we do that is by understanding your current environment, your strategic objectives, and being with you all along the way. Okay. Any questions at this current juncture?
No. I understand.
Yep. So do you have 2 minutes to run through this process
Sure.
charts?
Yeah.
So, great thing, we already did step one, demo the workflow app, which is right there. Install the 360 app was the integrated reporting tool, which I just referred to. So we normally work with IT to get that loaded. Do you have an IT manager? Can I send the link right to you?
Yeah, you could forward it off to me. I'll get it done.
Okay. Yep. And you think we can do that today?
Sure.
Yep. Okay, so I'll have that sent over by my network analyst. Gather costs. I don't know if we work with you. Is this all fall on your budget?
No, that's probably, you want to talk to the CFO on that, but I can get you in touch with them.
You get me in touch with them?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I did prepare a financial sheet required for this 360 assessment for us to do it.
All right.
So, and your CFO's name was?
Joe Smith.
Joe. Is he in the office today? You think you could run down to his office?
He is not here today. He already be in this meeting with us, so he's not here today.
Yeah. And then after that, it's really just us doing the grunt work. We don't want to take up too much of your time, so we have a...
So you just want Joe to fill these blanks in, is that...
Yes, well, if he had any questions, obviously, we could sit down and meet with him on that. And scheduling our first and second walkthrough to do our physical blueprint as well as the end user interviews.
Okay.
So we'd like to install the app, have it running for a week or so we don't miss any networked assets.
Okay.
We would really just need one person from your team.
Yeah.
Do you think you could spare one?
To guide you through the office, is that what you're...
Yeah, I mean, we could go on our own, however, it seems somebody in IT always knows where all the printers are buried.
But you won't be able to get into the factory that's secured. So you won't be able to get
Are they all local assets in there, or are they networked as well?
I would get you a list of what's in there, I guess. What about Washington? Do you go down to Washington and do this?
So part of being Image Tech as part of Xerox, we have sister companies, sister cores in Washington, that one of our consultants will go on site there and report back.
Okay.
And then before we have our final proposal and, show you all the numbers after we get that back from Joe Smith, we gather all the data.
Yeah.
I mentioned the word co-author, I think, twice earlier. Really, we like to have this validation meeting to review all the data, see if because it's probably a month down the road.
Yeah.
We can meet back with you to see if anything's changed or initiatives have changed, review the data, and really co-author a solution rather than us because of, as I mentioned earlier before, there might be business reasons that we missed that the end users didn't know about from a high-level, C-level perspective. So do you think we could schedule that from a month out?
Yeah, why don't we pencil something in? I don't know if everybody will be available, but we can
pencil it in and adjust them there. And then goals and objectives, anything that I haven't covered that you'd like to see?
We just got to be ready for growth and obviously be more efficient with what we do and how we do it.
Anything in particular you'd like to see generated?
I don't really know at this point what would be good for that.
Wait and see approach.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, just initialing right at the bottom there, so this can kind of act as our timeline going forward. I can send out calendar invites for all the applicable meetings, and we can adjust it according if necessary.
All right. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a good day.
All righty.